Hi there, and welcome to Grey Muzzle Geekery for the week of July 8th, 2019, episode 22. I'm Dusty Red, and with me as always,
I'm Dusty White.
And we'll get into this week's news. Happy National Video Game Day. Monday, July 8th, somehow was deemed by probably capitalism itself National Video Game Day. Not to be mistaken for National Video Games Day on September 12th. So, yeah, go out and play something. And by out, I mean stay inside. Dusty, quick, favorite video game, all time.
Super Mario World, Super NES.
Ooh, beep, 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 boop, beep, 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 boop, beep.
Original Yoshi.
Anyway, I would still have to go with Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, because I was totally a SNES kid as well. But, yeah.
Box Office Mojo has Spider-Man Far From Home ranked in 91 million before the weekend even started, porting the largest Tuesday opening day ever.
Thanks to Netflix and developers Studio MDHR and King Features, the smash hit bullet hell boss rush side-scroller game Cuphead will make its way to a cartoon called The Cuphead Show. The producers who have worked on the show have also worked on other shows like Mickey Mouse, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Rocko's Modern Life. So expect some adult humor to be hidden throughout the show.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Spunky!
Amazon workers plan to strike on the most poignant day possible, Prime Day, July 15th.
It's like Christmas for Amazon Prime, and they're going on strike. And finally, Disney tries its hand at its own home game akin to Secret Hitler called Is My Neighbor Racist? By announcing Halley Bailey to play Ariel in the live-action version of The Little Mermaid. So, Dusty, we'll go right into that as our starting topic of Halley Bailey playing Ariel. Now, obviously, it's gotten some people mad, bro. Because, for those who don't know, and not to sugarcoat anything, Halley Bailey's black.
Right.
And the 1989?
Yep.
89? Okay.
Nailed it.
Phew. 1989, Disney's Little Mermaid is a very white.
Minus Sebastian.
And technically flounder.
Really?
Well, he's tropical fish. Oh, it's tropical. But yeah, so, but jokes aside, like, you have Prince Eric the Dane, and, like, it's all taking place here, so you have the argument of, like, again, there's no easy way to go around this, and I'm going to come out right out the gate and go, this is, to a degree, an awkward conversation for you and I as well, because I do believe you and I stand on the same side of this.
Absolutely.
This issue. Like, cool, whatever.
Moving on.
For me, I care even less because I don't have kids. I don't plan on having kids. And I even stand at a very unique precipice of, like, you get older and you want to dance that line between, like, low sperm count and erectile dysfunction. If you could ride that middle line and just not have kids, it's fantastic. I'm just like right about there, so I'm okay with that. So it does not affect me. I do not have any, like, I know I have sisters who have ties to the show and whatnot. I remember watching it when I was young. It was a good cartoon. But as an adult, I don't care that they're going to portray Ariel in a live-action movie as a black mermaid. Like, okay. I mean...
Well, it's interesting on a couple of different levels because you have, number one...
Drink!
You have Ursula, who kind of had, from the original animated movie, had a based off of Divine, a drag queen.
Yeah, she had that vibe going on of the snapping fingers
yes,
and like, listen here, darling. For
right.
sure.
And that's how they portrayed her, to the point of they used that drag queen as a reference point, I believe. Okay. Also, you have Sebastian, who plays a Jamaican crab
And-
in the middle of the Danish waters or
Well, and even then,
Dutchland waters.
Well, and even then, you could make the joke because when she washes up on shore, Eric runs into her not far from his castle, and he's Danish, according to Wikipedia and other sources. That like, oh, he's a Dane. Like, well, he's a cartoon, but sure, he's a Dane. But if they're from Atlantis, which is located in the Atlantic Ocean, which would be closer
If
to
it was
like
real.
if it was real. Hey, there are a couple Atlantis Disney movies. Thank you very much.
There is.
But
Also a very underrated movie, actually.
which one?
Atlantis.
I was thinking of the sci-fi one. Oh my goodness, I can't think of it now.
3,000 Leagues.
No. It's a pirate one, and friggin' Goo Goo Dolls sing on it or something. Anyway, shush, scatterbrain, Fennec Fox is running around in circles. Anyway, you go to our Discord, and you'll be able to see the GIF, however you people want to say it incorrectly, GIF. That one's for you, Bada. So. But not to make a light on this subject. Like, yeah. Well, first off, we'll go to A number one. We get into. I also don't care what happens in the movie until you have there. You see her sitting there across the way. She don't got a lot to say about that something about. Yeah, that's all I care about.
Ladies and gentlemen, our music interlude.
Yeah, sure. I brought out the ukulele next. But so obviously you have that. You have a very obvious game of anytime anybody says, "I'm not racist," but you're racist.
You're
Sorry.
racist.
Like that's how it goes.
Right.
If you're going to be so upset that Ariel's black, especially as a 20
mythical creature.
Well, because realistically you're looking at 20s and 30s.
Right.
That's where it's really going to start pushing, because that's. If you're a kid,
that's your childhood.
If that's your childhood.
5 or 6, 4,
Sure.
somewhere around there.
At that point I was 8.
Right.
So it's a case you can look at it and go, okay, like those people might get mad. And then you start looking and going, like, for me, my biggest piece of umbrage that I have with this is not so much that they made Ariel black to. My biggest piece of it is Disney is just, to me, it feels Disney's lazy. For a company that is known for being innovative and also taking a number of Grimm's fairy tales and just sweeten them up and twisting them out.
Okay.
Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, all those other things. You have Disney, who is known for pioneering these stories, for pioneering all this stuff, and just taking hey, we're going to take something that's already been done, which apparently in the last couple years has been nothing but reboots, and especially for Disney this year alone.
I feel like I don't feel like the live action versions of these movies count as reboots. I believe they're reimagining.
Okay, and I'll go with the reimagining, but what took us 10 years to go through Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, Mulan, which all of a sudden is done in 2 years in live action remakes. And I'm going to stick with remakes because they're still using the same story. They're reimagining. Like, okay, there might be some reimagining, but the only thing that they're doing with Little Mermaid is they're giving her a palette swap and saying, look at us, we're inclusive. There's no new story. There's no new anything else.
Don't they have a right to undo the sins of their past?
I mean,
they have the right to take something that during the time in 1989
sure.
and changing up what would have been completely not thought of, or maybe it was thought of and pushed to the side because our country is still not as progressive as it should be.
Oh, sure. Yeah, especially in 89. You're still dealing with the tail end of war on crack and all this other stuff. Like, sure. However, and I'm not arguing against it. Again, I need to stipulate this 1,000 goddamn times because I'm going to get hate mail and they'll be like, dude, I'm with you on this. My argument is it just feels that Disney's being lazy on this.
You feel like they should turn around and make something brand new.
No,
but
I think
it's not even live
new.
action at that point.
Oh, they should make something new. Well, they can take other things, but again, you start looking at stuff. So you're gonna make a live-action Lilo and Stitch. You're gonna put Danny DeVito as Stitch, or are you gonna do Princess and the Frog and put a white girl in for that thing and say, well, we're going to look at it from the rich side of New Orleans or something. Like,
well,
there's so
that's what
many...
I'm saying is you could swap it out. I mean, here, and I used this counterpoint on you earlier, you've got DC and Aquaman. Aquaman is a predominantly
Absolutely.
white male.
Ooh,
White
he's like
male,
uncomfortably white.
like Netherland pasty white, like level.
The original cartoon / comics.
Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
So then they
was
turn
it the green
around-
tights with the orange shirt
Yes.
and like
Horrible color palette.
pretty much black socks and white flip flops, like riding on the back of a dolphin. Like that's how I imagine. That's you can't get any more like Johnny Quest style. But if you use that, but if also used that stuff, you look at and using Johnny Quest, like you had Haji, which is very just like, wow, brown kid in a turban. You're really fucking reach outside the box here for that. So concepts of racial stereotypes and stuff are obviously very archaic.
But I'm saying you don't hear, and obviously people have seen the memes, but you don't hear a bunch of people
memes.
getting up in arms about them taking someone that was Aquaman, very blonde hair, blue-eyed Aryan race type of thing, and
Disney's
suddenly
favorite.
changed it to Jason Momoa,
Mimosa.
and who obviously did a much better job and represented the comic hero better or differently.
Definitely,
but nobody
sure.
threw up a fit about that.
Sure. And I am not disagreeing with that at all. And, you know, again, some of the memes are like, not like, what was it? No, none of the women were complaining, you know, none of the white thirsty women were complaining about Jason Mimosa being cast for
Momoa.
now look, do you want mimosa in the morning? Yeah, you do. So
I prefer my Captain Crunch, thank you.
ooh, roof at the top. Yeah, no. So obviously, yeah, we're not going to expound too long on this topic just because it is a point of uncomfortable. Because again, like I said here,
Which I would like to say, those are the topics that we should be talking about.
we can't.
Is
Well,
things that do
we
push
can,
the topic,
but
the
it doesn't.
envelope.
But this doesn't push the envelope. This conversation between you and I does not push any envelopes.
True.
Because we both stand on the same side. We don't disagree. The only thing I disagree with is that it feels lazy on behalf of Disney. And it does feel like, again, if they just go, hey, Ariel's black, look at how inclusive we are.
But I don't think they did that, though. They
Do you,
just said,
whoa, do you genuinely feel that
listen,
this isn't...
sheet metal sombrero.
I will wear my sombrero. I for a money-making company such as Disney, and with something like Black Panther, if we're gonna go racial issues, something like Black Panther that came out and crushed all kinds of box office records with the promotion of air quote minorities or POCs. I don't even know what the correct term is because progressiveness.
Yeah.
Progressiveness. So you look at where does that line go in terms for Disney to go, how do we print money or how do we market to a group that feels disenfranchised, which is correct, but it's still Disney. They're a company to make money. There's no way they're going to lose money.
I still don't think it's something that they're coming out. Okay, we'll go on the tail end of Pride Month here, and a bunch of companies that are like, oh, we support Pride Month, we support this, and then did do nothing.
July
for it.
1st, and it's gone.
I don't feel like Disney is that type of company. They will come out and they will say, hey, we are doing this. They don't have their promotions or their publicity department going, let's fanfare this to all hell. Because other people, the ones that are mad about this person being cast as a mermaid, again, a fictional thing that's only purpose is to kill sailors.
Drowning men. and if anybody knows
and
Eliza,
we're gonna be mad because it's a different color skin.
Sure.
I feel like the Disney should not get dinged or yelled at or even dragged through the mud for just making a company decision and having the public do this.
But it's in a way, and this is where I'm going to try to play the devil's advocate here, it's also a super safe and super like moral high ground move where they can stand back and go, but see, look, we're inclusive. And then people could be like, yeah, but it's not original writing. It's very lazy. Like, you guys are just you guys are making a cash grab. Yeah, but you're a racist for not liking it. But no, I'm not against that. I'm not being a racist. I am saying you guys are being lazy, but you're being racist. Fair, it's too easy.
To be fair, they are doing it on the back end of, or on the tails of, them going and remaking a live action Lion King, which didn't get whitewashed by a bunch of white actors voicing African animals. There was look at your stuff for Lion King. There are absolutely some. I mean, yes. There's a couple white actors, yes. But right. There was also 2 white people cast in Black Panther.
Okay.
Count me on it.
No, I got you.
But I'm just saying, 3 technically, sorry. But so you have Disney as
that's a lazy argument with the Black Panther thing, by the way, because it is an MCU thing they're going on, but that's fine. Continue.
It's still Disney.
No, I get that. No, that's not the point I'm making. Okay. I'm very curious to where you're going, because now I'm actually getting like riled up a little bit.
Okay. Anyway, they are trying to be, they are changing. Yes. One action cannot be...
No, for sure, but it's also...
fought as, oh, we're progressive, but come at me and I'm going to get to call you racist.
But they can. That's 100% a stance they could take, easily. Even me right now saying that sounds like a racist, because it is a lazy stance for them to just be like, hey, color swap, cool. And there's nothing you can say about it except deal with it. And again, I will emphasize... for anybody and everybody, I don't care. It does not affect me, and I am happy to see other people be able to look to these characters. And again, you see all the memes.
Some type of representation.
Yeah, be like, hey, look, that's me. Because worst case scenario, if parents want to be shitty about it, they could just be like, well, here's the original, and they could pull out their VHS and try to find a VHS player on eBay somewhere, I guess. But pull it out, and hey, I had the cassette of the whole soundtrack for Little Mermaid, by the way. That's why. And actually, I can't remember the dude's name now who played Sebastian, or at least played the songs. I think he did all the voices, though, of Sebastian. Had like a VHS tape of him at like a Disney resort thing.
I remember
doing the concert. I own that. So, I mean, I have 3 little sisters, so we did that. But tangenting again, that's what I do. But honestly, Disney is in a position with that where they just cannot be touched. They could stand back and go, hey, if you don't like it, you're racist. And we're going to do as we want, because they're allowed to. It's their property. It's their reimagining. But to me, as someone that looks and goes, okay, Disney has now spit out 4 remakes of 90s movies in live action mode. Are you guys that tapped for ideas? Or more importantly, are they that keen? Ooh, voice crack. Are they that keen and savvy on the thirst for nostalgia? Have they tapped into that millennial, we say millennial, elder millennial, thank you, Eliza, where they found out that age group longs for more Lion King, longs for more, wasn't there rumors that failed with, what's your freaking Halloween movie with the 3 witches? Hocus Pocus 2 is supposed to come out and all this stuff. But people, like our generation, clamors for that. So, yeah, they could do whatever they want with it. And to me, it drives me up a wall in terms of laziness. Even with The Lion King. Like, we harped on Aladdin. We did. With Genie. But I think that wasn't
I think that was more of an iconic role made by a very specific actor, absolutely, not necessarily. The color of blue skin, right? And all that stuff. You've now cast Will Smith, a black man, in a white man's.
It's not even a white man's role, but right, it's still a case of, in this particular thing, there is no. I want to say there's no reason for it, but there is every reason to do this. And all of those reasons are inclusiveness, but it still feels lazy. It's going to print money. The script is more or less written. Right. So, I mean, hopefully they still keep some of the songs. Like, Halley Bailey's got a... Bailey. I want to say Halley Bailey. Every single time I see that name, I see Halley Bailey. Bailey. has a good voice. I heard. Like, it'd be great to hear her sing some of those iconic songs. Like,
Right.
Who hasn't sat around with a back of a... Even I have just sat there and sing part of Your World or something like that. Like, I was singing it earlier before the recording of the podcast.
Because he's got a lot of junk in his closet.
Oh my goodness, I got a lot of stuff in my closet for sure. A lot of skeletons. But yeah, I opened up the closet and I got a toolbox full of like various stuff, and I just look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Like, Amanda Nunez knocked out Holly home with her feet.
You are ridiculous. Okay, so you seem to have a platform. We are both on the same platform. But
I take the aluminum foil
fedora.
The aluminum foil fedora to the level of, I do not think Disney is dumb. I do think that there are motives behind it, all of which are cash driven. Disney is not greenlighting everything to lose money.
Hey, newsflash, we live in a capitalistic system.
Yeah, according to National Video Game Day, yeah, it's all it's capitalism. Not Video Games Day. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the S makes a big difference. Can't spell cash without S, because you get calf. Anyway.
But to finish my thought, you have the platform of the remakes in general are lazy. Whereas I look at it and go, Disney has made a huge push to be more progressive in all aspects of their movie making, their animation. You had Moana that got completely almost rewritten because the Polynesian people went, no, this isn't us. You have Lilo and Stitch years ago. I think it was like 17 or 18 when that was made, and they still created a new story that didn't involve a little white girl.
No, for sure.
So
and they're making proper strides with changing tides. With the changing tides, obviously. I didn't mean tides, but it worked with the Little Mermaid thing, and the Lilo and Stitch actually, and the Moana. A lot of Tide action going on. No, we're not sponsored by Tide. But we can be. Anyway, no, you know what? Pass. No Tide. I don't want to keep white. Oh!
Wow.
Anyway. Okay, jokes aside, everything, like, on a serious note, it is a case of, yes, I do feel it's a level of laziness. I do feel that it is frustrating to see just a mad dash to cash in on a lot of those 90s nostalgia by re-releasing them in live action. It's cool to see what they're doing at live action. I mean, some of the Lion King trailers and stuff look absolutely phenomenal. The CGI that's used and all that, and like, I'm excited for the voices used. And Aladdin got it's a little bumpy, but it's still making money. They're $300 million already, I think.
Okay.
It made like $1 million per week, or a couple million per week or something like that. So it's good to see inclusiveness and progressiveness, and it's good to see all this going on, and I am 100% behind it. The only downside, and this is where it goes, I'm not racist, but the only downside I have with it is it does seem lazy. It does seem that they're just grabbing old stories, just rehashing them to maybe buy time or to focus on stuff. I mean,
I personally think it is just a avenue that they decided to stick with. They started with things like Maleficent, which the second one is coming out in October.
They did Huntsman. Was that still?
I don't. Disney? Yes, the Snow White and the Huntsman.
Because that was Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they started down a path and they said, okay. I mean,
even Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, right. All that stuff, Alice in Wonderland stuff. They started down a path and said, hey, this is something we know it's not going to be the backbone of the Disney, universe going into the 2000s or into the future, but it's an avenue just like you've got animation with Mickey Mouse, you've got animation with Pixar, you've got different avenues that Disney chooses. They just said live action. Let's go and see what we can do and reimagine these great animation classics and bring them into the 21st century.
And just change them up but again, And then you ask...
you had 20 or 101 Dalmatians, things like that.
Sure. But then you ask, like, these changes are... Because that's the thing, too, is, like, why the change? Just for the inclusiveness? Because I get the changes with Aladdin to make it more Middle Eastern types. I get the Mulan. You don't want to whitewash Mulan. So why Little Mermaid? And that is, to me, the question, like, I wish I could be a fly in the wall in the boardroom when somebody went, hey, let's try this approach.
I think it's just a reimagining of some of their classics, because you can't turn around. There's nothing progressive about redoing Sleeping Beauty. There's nothing progressive. That's why they turned around and made it Maleficent not Sleeping Beauty. They reimagined Alice in Wonderland, but they made it more about mental health.
For sure.
There's not a lot to reimagine with some of that stuff. Little Mermaid, and who's to know? We're sitting here talking about and being completely focused on the fact that they cast Halley Bailey.
See, you almost did it too.
I did it too. Halley Bailey as the lead, but who's to know that they're not going to turn around and make this about climate change or about the pollution in water,
or focus. Well, she's a lead. I would say, or focus on more of a villain's take, more on Ursula's side, or more on...
Who's supposed to be, I think I said it last week, the rumor is McCarthy.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Maleficent McCarthy. So, I mean, yeah, it is one of those things that kind of...
Hey. But can we both agree? I hope the petition for Terry Crews to play King Triton goes through.
So Terry Crews as King Triton would be pretty awesome, especially seeing as I could just see him with the pitchfork just screaming, "Power!" I'll go away from the mic on that one.
He's still spiked.
I still spiked it. So it'd be interesting. Again, I need to emphasize this once more time for everybody. I am 100% down. I do have to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here because it is questions that go, what made them go this route? Why? Is it just sheer progressiveness? And is it just sheer, like, hey, like, there's a part of me that genuinely believes that somebody went just out of pure goodness of their heart and not monetarily motivated to go, we should take this story and make it for everybody. Like, we have a wide swath of princesses. Let's just change things up a little bit. It's not going to hurt anybody, because really it's not. Like,
right.
Anybody that's going to hurt is probably a little sensitive and wants to
need their money anyway.
And they're going to want to speak to Disney's manager. Like, that's what I feel in that regard. So it really is not hurting anybody. At the same time, of all of the movies that they choose to pick, Little Mermaid is very, like, they emphasize on the redhead. They emphasize on these other traits that are like, okay, I'm very curious to see where this is going. I mean, it could have been Latino Snow White living with, 7 dudes. Like, could have gone that route. But, so, like I said, emphasizing one final time, we are for it. Yes?
Yes.
I'm looking. I don't know if I'm going to see it anyway because I don't watch movies. So
he really doesn't.
I still need to see Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm like kind of mad I didn't see it over the 4th of July weekend. I do want to see it because Spider-Man is kind of climbed up there as one of my favorite superheroes, and it used to not be. I can deal without the Uncle Ben stuff. Like, great power,
which,
great responsibility.
to be fair, they do a really good job in this.
Yeah, they're pretty much like, yeah.
They were like, yeah, we know Uncle Ben's dead. Yeah. Moving on.
Even Into the Spider-Verse did the whole, like, so tongue-in-cheek. Like, when I saw it the first time, and it took me until, on Netflix or on
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Amazon Prime, as they're striking. We got to see it there, and, like, I'm watching it, like, somewhat confused, and I'm looking back at you like, this is so tongue-in-cheek, and just, like, making fun of itself. This is amazing. So, yeah, I don't know. Something about that Into the Spider-Verse really got me on, like, a Spider-Man kick. Like,
it was really well done. I will give you that.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things of, it fascinates me. I think, personally, I'm getting a bigger kick out of seeing all the mad people and seeing all the spicy memes that are basically shutting people up. I'm like, yeah, sure, be mad about this. like, even to a degree, we're kind of making fun of people getting mad about it. I'm sure there's going to be a couple listeners that we have that's going, F you.
I really kind of hope not. I don't
Depends.
think we bring those people into our world.
No. I mean, they can be part of our world. As I stare longingly up to the surface where I could be. Anyway. So, yeah, I mean, we're for it. Let's do this. Let's see some. I really want to hear Kiss the Girl, though. I want to know who's going to play Sebastian. Because, like.
Well, and that was my counter is so they going to go away from Jamaican Sebastian and give it to some mad.
I'd be mad.
Like
I'd be mad.
Super thick English accent.
No, I'd be so mad. I like worse than that.
Bimber Bum Cumberbatch. I don't know.
Fucking nailed it. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Thank you.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of like Neil Diamond or
Neil Diamond?
Sure.
What?
Something just like singing Sweet Caroline, just like
ba, ba, da.
That's the white test right there. Jesus Christ.
Or pull out Willie Nelson.
Ain't it funny? Now time slips away. So, but I mean, yeah, I don't.
You tell us who would you love to see our listeners? Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear your ridiculous Sebastian. Who would play a singer, songwriter, whatever? Who would play? I'm thinking Mike Myers is doing his bad impersonation of Fat Bastard.
Oh no!
Doing his impersonation of a Jamaican. So you guys get to let us know in email at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com. You can find us on our Discord. You could poke us on our Facebook page at Grey Muzzle Geekery.
Yes.
And
or on Twitter at Grey Muzzle Geek.
Or on Instagram at Grey Muzzle Geekery. I'm learning how to be photo stuff.
Yeah, we're trying to expand our horizons.
Look,
over
I'm
here.
colorblind, and she's like, take pretty pictures. And I'm like, okay. So we'll go into our next topic, which will go into a little bit of the weekend shenanigans, because it was
4th of
July, or, Independence Day, because...
Punch those aliens in the face.
Well, one of our friends has even joked, and it's like, we don't say Happy October 31st and Happy December 25th. We say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. If I say that.
I never even thought of that.
Like, we don't say, we say Happy Halloween, so why don't you say Happy Independence Day? To which I thought, well, American education probably isn't that great to allow kids to spell independence properly. So, teach you to say Happy 4th. But... see, I'm like shitting all over everything. Like,
yeah,
I'm the bad guy this weekend. Send your hate mail directly to DUSTIEWHIT. Anyway. Sure. But, yeah, so on Independence Day,
yep.
I got to hang out with an old friend I am fortunate enough to have one of those friends where we kind of grew up together. And one of those people that I could not talk to him for a couple years. And then when I do talk to him again, we just catch right back up where we left off. Yeah. And things can be completely different. He was into Nine Inch Nails and like that emo metal stuff. And I was married, and then I got divorced. And then all of a sudden he was like true blue hipster, and he hates being called a hipster. But like, it's not hipster as in like, neck beard, fedora, bad beer. Like, no, he lives the lifestyle.
He does.
His wife is the classic. Well, now she's got the short hair, but she had like the bigger hair with the curls and the ruby red lips and the dress and like.
I only saw her at the wedding with the shorter hair. I didn't get
she had
to
a little
see her
bit,
with
a little bit of curls back then too.
I feel like hipster sells them short. It's more. The way I would put it is and this is gonna sound awful, and I please God, please don't listen to this, but hillbilly hipster,
well, rockabilly,
like rockabilly.
They live a rockabilly lifestyle for sure. He definitely does the t-shirts with the sleeve rolled up with the smokes, and the jeans with the combat boots, but like the jeans are rolled up, one or two notches. Like, yeah, it is a rockabilly type lifestyle that they live, and it's not an act, or it's not a...
That's what I was gonna say. They come off so genuine.
Well, and part of how they met...
I was gonna say, that's their back history.
Well,
right?
and part of how they met is she was into it because she does historical restoration. So she's got an obvious
That's her
bias.
profession.
That's her profession. She's into historical restoration. So she messes with film and photos and audio and all sorts of stuff and tries to restore it, obviously. And so she's into that kind of lifestyle. It's like us in our LARPing and our medieval stuff. Like, jokes aside, we go to Ren Fair, and a lot of times we get mistaken for the Rennies. We get mistaken for, like, oh, do you work here? Like, nope. It's like, you're wearing $4,000 of armor and costuming. Yep. Good talk. So so we are not, us especially, are not allowed to judge somebody that has a pair of old jeans that are rolled up on the bottom. Like,
I personally had probably one of the more memorable number one.
Drink.
I had
physically
that
drink.
being one of the more memorable weddings I've been to.
Sure.
Going with you on that was amazing. Only time I've ever seen a live band at a wedding.
A live band at a wedding. They were playing
swing
a lot
dancing.
of... Well, and that was the story I was saying, is that she's into that stuff, and she knew how to do swing dance and knew how to do all that kind of dancing. That, I joined them at an outing, and I forgot the name, the lead singer or the thing, but it was like something and the Fat Babies. Like, that's what gives you the vibe of like a horn section that stood up and the big old bass and everything else. So it's that vibe of music, that style. And he saw her and asked one of her friends to teach him how to dance. So then when he finally asked her to dance, he knew how to dance that style, that swing style and everything else, to impress her. And it worked. So, gents, dust off your dancing shoes. Like, seriously, but it's also a lost art.
Yeah.
Dancing's a lost art. So that level of...
Never did I think I'd ever be sitting there and talking about my bowling career with people that are like, oh, really? You bowl? Like... That's their hobby.
Yep.
Is we like to go bowling because it's fun for them. Yep. And I just really enjoyed getting to know them and sitting and talking with them a little bit more before, it started sounding like the world was exploding around me.
So, obviously we're from the Midwest, and fireworks are a big deal. And I don't mean fireworks as in like, we're going to the park, look at the sky. Like, Steve and his bag of spiders brought back $500 worth of fireworks, and we're, handing a gross of bottle rockets to some kid and saying, have fun, go, don't,
exactly.
come
don't
back with all your fingers.
Up.
So you're in Chicago proper, and it's daylight, and there's all kinds of whiz-bangs going on.
I feel like whiz-bangs are a little meager when you're talking about stuff that's setting off car alarms.
Okay, so it was like a half stick of dynamite.
Ooh, I want to shoot a M80. Woo!
Bing.
No, thanks.
Loud boom. And the poor little chihuahua that was there was just like...
The world is ending. Why are you not scared with me?
Oh, the dog got better. Like, I kept suggesting Benadryl or something, but the dog got better. It was like just kind of hop from lap to lap.
Yeah,
well, it went from lap to lap. But yeah, so we did the whole firework thing. Got to look up, and even on the drive back, like, got to see fireworks in the sky. I can fly very high. Take a look at but all the fireworks going on, and just a good day all in all. Saturday, you had a day of fun yourself, so to speak. Went out and about, and what? You're eyeballing me, but okay. I got to watch people punching.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes, people punching. That's.
I
was like trying to remember what we were talking about.
I'm like, people punching. I like watching people get punched. It is not a like.
I have watched people punching with you a couple of times now. I don't see the appeal. It's fun to watch and just be like, why am I watching this?
Okay, so I am a pretty big fan of MMA, of the UFC and all that stuff. I do enjoy people punching, and I have said it before, I take great enjoyment out of watching people just get knocked out, to the point of I spent a couple hours watching training simulators.
YouTube black hole.
Oh, YouTube black hole down, like, people going on military training for, like, G-forces and, like, passing out. I don't know why it's funny. I get it. It's just funny to me. I don't know. Something about people is, like, getting knocked out and they're, like, just starching out. Anyway, so obviously we had a UFC 239. And I got to see Jorge Masvidal get knocked out in 5 seconds. Or knock a dude out in 5 seconds.
Okay.
The other dude was like a wrestler, and Jorge is a striker. And dude came out to wrestle, like dove in for his legs. And the dude, like Jorge, saw it coming and brought his knee up and knocked him out in 5 seconds. Like, bink, done. Then obviously you had Holly Holm. Who's a kickboxer who beat the snot out of Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
Just about everybody heard of Ronda Rousey. Beat her up, punched her out, kicked her out. And then you had Amanda the Lioness Nunes.
I'm trying to think of who did I say that Holly Holm looked like?
She had a mad face. What did she? Oh my goodness, I can't think. You're watching, you're just like, Jesus, she looks mean.
I can't remember. I know it was good at the time. I should have written it down.
Yeah, I know. This is why you keep a notebook with you. We'll write down all your jokes. But yeah, so I got to watch people punching and enjoy that a bit. I get a big kick out of that. See what I did there? It's a kick. High kick in the face. And yeah, and then Sunday was kind of trying to recover. Like, sleep schedule was messed up.
Yeah,
I had 4 days. 4 days off.
Can mess you up.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like going to bed at 4 a.m. and like, I have to be up at 6:30. So, I mean, we're pittering a little bit, and I don't know. Anything else you want to add to there before we go and dive into the listener mailbag?
Well, kind of tell me what was fireworks for you growing up? I feel like we had two different experiences growing up, obviously being from opposite parts of the state.
I mean, anything south of I-80, we've established that, is basically the Midwest Mason-Dixon line. But I think for me growing up, well, you got to remember, too, I was a kid, I mean, all through the 80s, obviously, but through the 90s is like more of that formative years for me. And the Chicago Bulls were winning championships every year. So all of June and then some of July was fireworks.
All the time.
All the time. Because the Bulls would win and everybody would set off their fireworks and then be like, oh crap, I'm out. And then they'd sneak across the border and then get fireworks from crazy something. Yeah, well, we know exactly what it is. But Crazy Steve's bag of fire. Enough. Yeah, drive through firework and alcohol shop, like, woo! So we obviously had a lot of fireworks. Like, we had fireworks around all the time. We blew stuff off. Everybody in the neighborhood did. So even though it was a, like, hey, fireworks are illegal, it's one of those you can't stop us all type situations. Yeah. Even then, the cops would drive around, and as long as you weren't firing them at cars or firing them at buildings or being assholes about it, the cops would just drive through just to make sure. Realistically, it seemed like they were doing more preventative maintenance of, like,
noise control.
Hey, not even noise control. Just like, hey, I'm watching. Please don't get, like, blow your fingers off.
Right.
Because even if you, my experience is when you're doing fireworks by yourself, like, you start getting a little bored, so to speak, and you're like, maybe I'll aim it at this, or maybe I'll do it like this, or hey, how long could you hold it into your hand before it blows off? And like, go 1, 2. Tommy Two Fingers is winning. So obviously with the cops coming by every now and then, you're like, oh wait, we should put a pipe into the ground and shoot it properly. And at least if for an hour you like treat them normally like you're supposed to. So something like that was always good.
Got it.
So it was a lot of that preventative stuff and a lot of just making sure people weren't being shitty and firing at each other. And it takes the one bad apple to like, right. Okay, now you're firing it at people's cars, or now you're, aiming it at the nuns across the street, or not. Shut up. Or you're doing something that you really shouldn't be doing. Okay, now the cops come in and deal with it and take stuff away. So yeah, we've always had fireworks. We've always had big spectacular shows. I've definitely had a Roman candle plop on the top of my head, and I still got a scar to this day on the top of my head where a little hair was burnt off. there's definitely a time when we had those mortars that like they go up in the sky and blow up, and it's like this big festival of colors. Yeah, the tube tipped over and just shot the thing down the block. And from the end of the block to where we were was colors. Because you don't realize how much explosion is in the sky until it's not in the sky. How about for you? How was fireworks for you growing up?
So my grandfather's, on my dad's side, his birthday was July 4th.
Oh, there we go.
So growing up, it was always a joke until obviously we got old enough to realize it wasn't just a big birthday. Let's blow like pretty things blow up in the sky for my grandfather's birthday. So we always did. We lived on a cul-de-sac for most of my life. We were growing up childhood style.
Still blows my mind that the South has cul-de-sacs. Like, that's a big word. Like,
okay. So we always had, I don't think my dad ever went to the point of, hey, I'm going to go across the border, but he would pick up the packs that they would sell at like the grocery stores.
So a lot of times
like little champagne poppers, the pop snaps that you would throw at the ground.
The little like black snakes that would burn your concrete.
My brother loved those.
Oh, they never stayed lit.
No.
Like you'd burn half of it and you're like, okay, then you have to light, and then B would leave like this just nasty mark on whatever.
Yeah, it was always like, our back porch or our back deck was always covered with it for like weeks until the first good hard rain
cleaned it up. Yep.
My dad was really big on safety. Sure. He was a gun safety NRA instructor.
Sure.
So it was always make sure you have everything in careful.
Did you have safety glasses when you shot?
Maybe not, actually. I don't think so. But only because my dad had it set up that we had like a 4 or 5 post piped, like clamped to the deck bottle rocket launcher.
Angled at like 80 degrees. Correct. Or something. So it didn't go straight up.
And it was never open flame. It was always, we had punks.
Yep.
And my dad was just really, he didn't want his son and daughter ending up as Tommy Two Fingers. Right. So we always made sure we were taken care of, and we only had a limited amount. We didn't have, hey, I'm going to start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and shoot till midnight. It just wasn't that way growing up on fireworks. And it wasn't until I started coming up here, my dad was living in Brookfield at the time when I was like 12 or 13, that I had started to see actual firework displays and stuff like that, because that wasn't really a thing in Springfield. Unless you went downtown to the Capitol, they didn't have those.
So we had this little bit of conversation off air of, and I bring it up only because I wonder if they have fireworks there, because you guys, because you're south of 80, you guys did the state fair.
Right.
Did they do firework displays?
I want to say they would do like the grandstand or like the concert venue in the Illinois State Fair. I think they might have done them maybe once or twice.
So you might have caught a couple of those.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't something that up here you guys have firework festivals every other weekend in the summer because everybody's got their Taste of Darien or Taste of Roselle or like just a lot of other areas that are like, oh, we spend for the last night, we spend a little bit extra money and we have a pyrotechnics festival.
Professional pyrotechnic.
Right.
And it sometimes would be like 2 weekends because the towns will also spread it out a little bit. You'll see. It's like you'll have a week, like 2 weekends before 4th of July or Independence Day, and then like a week before Independence Day, and then like maybe the day of, if it's not on like a Wednesday night or something like that. They'll do that. But yeah, being close, like Chicago itself will do a display down. So usually by like Navy.
They usually do Taste of Chicago too. Well, Taste of Chicago used to be on July 4th or Independence weekend. Like they used to have it during that time period.
I think they did.
I think they waned away from that.
I think they pushed like Blues Fest or something like that. Got pushed that way or something. But either way,
I did not see a lot of pyrotechnic until I was much older, and then being in Chicago proper was just a little of a culture shock for me to see that all these people in such suburban area
just blowing fireworks,
blowing fireworks in there. Like, again, some cops would drive around, but in Springfield, they would do the same thing. They'd drive around and it'd be like, okay, you couldn't do it on the night before, you couldn't do it on the night after. It was only really on the 4th that you would get away with it. Okay. But yeah, it was a little of a culture shock for me to see, block warfare happening with fireworks. Sure.
And that was again, that was one of my kind of growing up things of it would even get to the point of you'd be polite with the block warfare of like you would see the neighbors across the street or down the block or something like that. Because again, for those that don't know, like Chicago is a very gridded city. It's a very gridded out north, south, east, west. The streets run north, south, east, west, save for a couple that are like military roads and stuff. But it is very north, south, east, west. And so you'd have neighbors on all sides, and you would light off your fireworks, and you'd set up a small display because you wouldn't want to bring them all out in case there's stray embers or something like that.
Right.
Again, we've seen Milan. We know how that happens there. And so you have, bring out some, and then you light that all off, and everybody gets a turn, everybody oohs and ahs, and then you stop. And then the neighbor goes and sets them off, and they get to blow their load. And oohs and ah, I am for ooh and ah at that. And then down the, maybe across the street or down the block or something would set theirs off. So it'd be a constant flow of fireworks that was just kind of rotating out based on dinner time or who ran out of what. Or you'd see people come by and be like, "Hey, you got any of this?" I'll trade. Like we used to trade. Like, I got Saturn rockets. I'll trade you for one of them happies or something like that. It's like, okay, and you light that off, and okay, cool, yeah. And you meet your neighbors that way, and back when you actually got to meet your neighbors, block parties were a thing where you'd
I saw a couple of block parties this summer. Actually,
they're kind of coming back. I noticed there was a small window
resurgence.
There was a small window that were gone, and nobody was dealing with them, and then they kind of started making a little bit of headway again. Of hey, put your phone down. Let's go outside and bounce in a bouncy castle that some kid peed in 3 weeks ago.
Hi. You have
Am I wrong?
You have good memories, and then you throw something like that in there.
I have realistic memories, my dear. They're realistic memories. Fireworks displays are always good in that regard. We still would go and see things. I remember going downtown a time or two and just... There's so many people when you're downtown that you're just shoulder to shoulder looking up no, I'm good. I'm going to just do this at home.
I feel like we kind of got our taste of that when we went downtown to see the river get dyed. And I was okay.
For St. Patrick's Day, Chicago has a tendency
river got dyed, and now I'm walking arm in arm with so much body funk.
Now, admittedly, also my firework, I got used to them too. Because I used to work for Comiskey Park.
Oh, that's right.
The White Sox. And now it's guaranteed rate field. And just like true Southsiders, we have to ruin everything. U.S. Cellular Field. It's the cell. Guaranteed rate field. The G-spot. It's what we do. That's how we are. But I used to work there. And so every Friday was firework night. Also, my parents' parents, my grandparents, and... some other family would live right nearby Comiskey.
Right.
So just being there, watching the ball game on TV, and White Sox hit a home run, and we'd run outside and look out the back porch, and you'd see the fireworks in the distance. So I got fireworks almost all year long.
I was going to say, so it wasn't just hey, I want to see the fireworks because I only see them once a year. It's more of
something happened.
Fireworks are cool.
Oh, for sure. And I guess to a point, there's a level of jadedness where you're just all right, I've seen them. I'm good.
I only have maybe a little bit of that jadedness because I did get to see
one of the best fireworks show of all time.
Which, if you've ever been to Disney World,
I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland.
They do them every night, and it's some of the best pyrotechnics anywhere.
Closest I've ever been was Disney on Ice, and that was 24 showings in 2 weeks. I told you I worked for Comiskey and for United Center, so They did Disney on Ice, and I did. We'll have to talk about worst jobs. That'd be one of our
That's a good
topics.
topic.
We'll have to talk. I think next week we'll have to maybe touch into worst jobs that we've ever had, or worst, stuff like that.
So we'll go
mailbag.
into. Well, we've got time for a listener question before we call it wraps tonight. Let's see. We've got a
wisely.
question from Becky S. Favorite kind of game to DM, so Dungeon Master or NPC for, versus favorite kind to be a PC or player character for, aka it could be tabletopping, LARPing, or even just bankroller, being the banker in Monopoly.
Oh, I hated being a banker in Monopoly because everybody
Where
cheats.
did you get the pig 50s, Grandma?
Grandma, it's a cheating war. Ah, jeez. I didn't cook.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't cook. He was funny for like 5 minutes. You go first.
I feel like I can't properly answer this question just because I only have a limited experience being a DM or NPC for LARPing in general versus being a player character. But I like watching other people's interpretations of DMing. I enjoy watching things like Critical Role or even Loaded Dice Adventures.
Absolutely.
The storytelling part for me is important. Watching how other people unveil and get excited and release that energy into, this is the story I want to tell. This is the story I want these people to experience or be a part of. I kind of gravitate more towards that.
And what about one of your favorite, I guess, kind of, you want to be a PC for or a player character for or whatever? Like, what do you like in that regard?
Ooh.
I'll take over then. So for the MP, while you think, it's all right, I want that air. I mean, we could do like last week where you just cut me off and just like change subjects completely.
Me.
Yeah, I don't remember that. You like looked at me afterwards and it was like, so you didn't get into your list of games or anything? I'm like, yeah.
No, it was the cartoons.
Oh, the cartoons. Yeah, I was like, what was your list of cartoons? I'm like, I didn't get a chance to it. I started at one and then we just switched topics. It's okay. It's my fault if anything else. It usually is my fault. I mean.
Are you done now?
No, it's still my fault.
Answer the question.
It's my fault. So what do I like to DM for or a role of some sort? I do enjoy... it's a hard one because I agree. Like, there's a lot of weird roles you could take, be it for... Like, because you even think of, like, something for Jackbox Games being the host, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
That's a role that you could take as well. I don't like it. So I look at stuff like that where, like, what are things I don't like is easier to pick on. Don't like the banker, don't like hosting, don't like being... Because I'm the kind of guy that, like, has to be motivated to play a game, and even then I'll fight it until...
You're watching everybody else
until I'm bombarded.
Yeah.
Like, I had an ex that knows that I don't like watching movies or TV shows and stuff. I'm not a TV person. But they would specifically have a movie or something into DVD, TV off, but it, like, ready to go. So as soon as I'd sit down, it'd be like, blink, blink, it's on, playing. And as soon as it starts playing, like, I'm like, I guess I'm vested now.
You're distracted.
And just, I lock in.
So easy, yeah.
It's so if you could, like, trap me like that, I'm locked in. That said... For NPC type stuff, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on the storytelling aspect because we obviously do a podcast.
Right.
So it is telling stories and it is talking. I do a little stand-up comedy here and there. So it is crafting and making sure words, it sounds so stupid, but making sure words go in the right order for proper effect.
Okay.
And I do enjoy that aspect, be it DMing for a live action game, which is a little harder to do as far as I'm concerned, because there's still a visual component that is hard to deal with. You are in a cave and you're clearly standing in the woods with it raining. Like,
right.
It's hard to convey stuff like that.
Your imagination has to fill in those gaps.
Where I would rather have everybody listen to my voice, realize they're tabletopping, and use their imagination more in that regard, or so. Maybe it's a disconnect because I would think it'd be easier to get into character and understand that, hey, you guys are in a cave, and you, even if you're standing on a path in the woods, in armor, with your foam weapons, in gear, in makeup, whatever else, can make that transition easier. But me telling the story with a little bit of preparation, a little bit more preparation, and knowing the tools, like I could craft a scene by killing the lights or putting on music, or I've gone so far as in the summer. My parents hate me for this, but in the summer we played in our basement, and it was always cooler in the basement. But we're doing an Underdark thing, and we're going through a volcano-y, like an underground volcano-y hotspot, and I had the heater on in the basement. So it got warm in the basement, and I intentionally kept it warm so the players were starting to sweat, and gave them that immersion. I'm putting air quote. Hey, I'm 17 and thinking I'm clever as shit. Look at, they're sweating and uncomfortable because they're in the Underdark. But I killed the lights and I couldn't even see their character sheets. But I tried to add atmosphere, adding cave music on freaking America Online or whatever noises I could find. But that kind of immersion, which translates to LARPing, but it's more convenient.
It's like LARPing light.
It is LARPing light, but it's also more control.
Right.
Because I don't have to put up 20 things of tarps and construct a pavilion and all this other crazy things for atmosphere. I could just kill the lights or turn on the heat or turn on the AC or something like that. So it's little things like that. As for PCing or playing, what do you like to do in that regard?
I really like being able to take a character sheet in a tabletop scenario and make it my own. I really enjoyed, and I didn't think I was going to, but I did really enjoy when we played the competitive Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, with our friend
First
Skylar.
Word.
Yes, absolutely.
I really enjoyed that and didn't think I was a little bit apprehensive, and it made no sense to me looking back at it now because I am a LARPer and I was a drama kid. So improv is kind of a thing for me.
And you LARPed. It is a thing for you.
Right, but after playing the same character for so many years, you get into a swing of things and it's your mindset.
Second nature, for sure.
Right. So when you're being given a character and you get a little bit of a brief blurb about their back history, I really enjoyed taking that and building on it. Because there's nothing in the rulebook that says you can't do that.
Sure.
And it gives me more, and I hate being so cliche, but what is my character's motivation? I really enjoyed that. So sure. I would say tabletopping, minus obviously LARPing, is kind of a go-to for me, or a giveaway. But I would say tabletopping and getting a character sheet written for me and going into that mindset is probably my favorite.
I am going to go contrarian. Because obviously I agree with you on that regard of I'm a LARPer as well, and I'm a tabletopper as well and stuff. I'm going to go semi-contrarian, actually, only because this fits in its own way. I like skill trees. I like games that give you options to customize characters, and it's funny because the new Alliance 2.0 rule set really does fall into that line of skill trees and branching out and abilities, and you make your character stuff. But as far back as Diablo 2 was the big eye opener for me, where I was able to spec my skills and go a certain route and really focus. Because even think about it, RPGs back then, you kind of min-max, and still for Diablo you still min-max, but you min-max the whole thing. It's okay, this is the fighter guy, you did this, he's your fighter this. But you have skill trees that allowed you, like what World of Warcraft and Diablo and all these other games that allowed you to focus your skills, but you could also focus in a way to be unique or stand out, or to, Rifts was one of my favorite games I played when it first came out, that allowed me to be a rogue, but play a bard or play a tank as a rogue, and play with these skill trees to more or less min-max or find the most optimal. And I think the perfect balance is if you can find all of it works, but you find a balance to your play style. And that's obviously hard to do because there's almost always going to be an optimal way of playing a game.
Right.
There's that meta built into almost every game. But that said, there's still ways to break the meta League of Legends is a good example as well. Like, everybody was like, oh, no, you got to meta. This is what you have to do. You have to bring this guy. And then all of a sudden you bring just these weird characters through the middle lane or through bottom lane or whatever else, through double top or something. And you're like, that's not how we kind of play the game. That goes outside of the established norm. And you make it work. And I do like that. I do like finding those like little, how can I make this work? How can I turn this to my advantage using those skill trees? So going away from the role play, if I'm going to be the stick jock here, if I'm going to be the like, I'm a theater kid, I role play, I act, and like numbers, dice. So I do enjoy skill trees. I do enjoy reading and stuff like that and trying to figure those systems out. Are a lot of fun. That said, I would freaking hate to be a DM for that because it's also hard to prepare for, well, this guy's going to do this and this guy does that, and I have no idea what Steve's doing with his bag of spiders. So I'm kind of tapping out.
Thank you, Becky S., for that question.
Thank you very much. And again, we're always looking for questions. We got a nice little notebook here that we're slowly writing questions down and scratching them off as we go. Again, if you want to write us questions, you can find us on our Discord. You could send them directly to us at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com. You could send them to us on Facebook at Grey Muzzle Geekery, or you could poke us on Twitter at Grey Muzzle Geek. I don't know how to do Instagram still. There's pictures. It's pretty. I'm eating chicken nuggets, apparently.
Nug life.
Hashtag Nug life.
Anyhow, that'll be it for this week, guys. Have a good night.
And as always, remember, we're all geeks. To be otherwise may very well mean to live without passion. Have a good night. Thank you for listening to another episode of Grey Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White.
You can support our continued geekery at our Patreon website, patreon.com/Grey Muzzle Geekery. Be sure to check back often as we start to add geek cred levels.
You can send your questions and comments to us at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com. Or find us on Twitter at Grey Muzzle Geek.
We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
And a special thank you to Pepper Coyote for our intro theme. And if you like what you heard, you can find more of his stuff on Spotify, Patreon, or directly from his Bandcamp page.